I need you to do something for me, okay? I want you to imagine what your first anime was. It might be something niche, mainstream, a movie, an OVA, whatever. I just want you to imagine it. Got it? Good. Now, you may not believe me, but I'm something of an anime fan myself. And I'm sure all 7 of you are pondering, thinking, contemplating over how I, Tekka Goofy at YouTube.com, could have possibly gotten into anime. And the answer to that? Dragon Ball Xenoverse.
Huh?
Okay, yeah, this is sort of online video, but let me just explain, okay? I was but a humble Sonic fanatic. Thank God I grew out of that, am I right? And I adored everything Sonic, which, to me, was anything to do relating to Sonic Generations, because I had a child brain. And one day, one fateful day, I stumbled upon a certain video by one of my favorite YouTubers. A mod putting Sonic into some random game called Dragon Ball Xenoverse. And while watching the video, I stumbled upon a single word that changed my life. Anime. And after a little bit of looking around, I realized this anime was some kind of cartoon thing. So, being a intellectual smart child, I went on Netflix and searched up anime. What the hell is a Sword Art Online? Now, in case the title didn't really explain what this video is, allow me. Basically, I'm gonna just talk about Sword Art Online since it was my first ever anime, specifically the Aincrad arc. What I liked about it, what I didn't like, characters, music, yada yada yada. This ain't gonna be a totally not marked type of video where I go in depth about it. I kinda just want to talk about an anime that means a lot to me after I rewatched it recently. Also, this is probably obvious, but spoiler warning if you haven't seen SAO, because well, I'm going to be talking about it. Okay, enough waiting. Let's start off with... In all honesty, the story for the Aincrad arc is pretty simple. But in case you've forgotten, let me give you a little recap. Kirito, the main character, and around 10,000 other players get stuck in a virtual reality game called Sword Art Online. Hey, that's the name of the series. Well, that's okay. We can probably just wait for the devs to fix it.
Stand ready for my arrival, worm.
Knock knock, fuckers. It's Kaiba Akihiko, and he says that if you die in the game, you die in real life. Alright, see ya. So now, they gotta clear all 100 floors and beat the final boss to clear the game. And it takes them 1 month to clear the first floor. Anyway, yada yada yada, Kirito gets a harem or something, yada yada yada, Kirito becomes the sword avatar, yada. Okay, here we go. Heathcliff, a commander for a big guild, is revealed to be...
Yes, I am Akihiko Kaiba.
Thomas? Nah, it's me.
Kirito challenges him to a final duel. He dies, but his Dokkan revival skull met its conditions. Okay, so maybe I left out a few details, but that's about the gist of the main plot. Look, man, I don't want to go episode by episode like I originally planned, okay? This is the best I can do. So, the story itself is pretty hit or miss. Good on paper, but kinda executed a little poorly with all the time jumps.
Now let's see how it looks so far.
But to be honest, I don't really feel like the story is the main focus of this arc. Take the Fairy Dance arc, for example. Pretty much every episode somewhat pushes the story along with the main goal of rescuing Asuna. Whether I prefer the Fairy Dance arc or not... We'll just have to see if there's a part 2 for this video. So yeah, the story is simple but pretty good.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Alright, let's see what's next. Ooh, how about the world building? Now, I really like how Aincrad looks and works. It can look pretty dang nice in some places, like the flower place on floor 47. Floor 61 looks nice. It ain't that hard to believe why some of the players just gave up and settled down. That being said, although the places we see are pretty nice, some of them also look really similar to each other. And there's a whole bunch of floors we never even saw. Don't get me wrong, I don't think they should have shown every last floor, but we only saw like 14 of them. Aside from that, Aincrad does at least feel lived in. There's restaurants, caves, you can buy houses, hell, you can even...
Don't let your kids what's it?
Never mind that last part. There's also a side comment, but the whole of the Sword Art Online series does have really cool looking worlds. You know, Alfheim, Gungale, the games make good use of it. The world isn't the most important thing to focus on, but I think they did a good job on it. For a good anime to work, you gotta have good characters. It just makes sense, right?
Get the hell out! Get out! Get out! Get out! Okay. Get out!
I don't really say there's any characters I hate, but most of them outside of the main cast are kinda meh. But we're not here for the side characters, we're here for the gang. Kirito is a decent protagonist. Sure, he is kinda the, ooh, I'm so cool and strong and all the girls want to fuck me serve it, but I feel like he gets a little too much hate. He isn't the most unique character type. In fact, he's a pretty stereotypical chronic hero. But I think it's that standardness that lets us almost slip into the role of Kirito. Hell, in most of the games that have customization, you take the role of Kirito. Technically speaking, his character type isn't necessary for the story, but rather is meant for you to envision yourself as him, since he's so basic. I actually ended up liking Asuna a lot more than I remembered. Don't get me wrong, I never hated her or anything, but I kinda just remembered her as the girl.
And I understand the ladies.
But on rewatch, she was one of my favorite characters. She starts off as a kind of mysterious and stern yet determined person who's only really focused on making it through the game rather than living it.
あなたね、分かっているの？こうして一日無駄にした分、現実での私たちの時間が失われていくのよ。
でも今、俺たちが生きているのは、このアインクラッドだ。
Then she took a nap with Kirito and got goofy.
Hey, carry me on your shoulders.
Aren't you a little old for that, though?
It doesn't matter how old I am. Come on, it's not like anyone's gonna see us. Oh my god, is he younger than me?
What did he say?
I don't really have much to say about Silica for Aincrad because she doesn't really do a whole lot aside of her episode. She's in no way a bad character. She's nice, pretty funny.
Hey, yo, what the fuck?
And the whole big brother, little sister thing they gave her in Kirito is cute. No complaints outside of some weird fan service choices, but still nothing really bad about her. Ah yes, my goat! I'm not sure why, but I always really liked Elizabeth. She's goofy, she's animated as hell, she's funny, but also has some more emotional moments. I like that they set her up in a past episode as a friend of Asuna's, and she does actually show up every now and then. I just enjoy myself when she's on screen. Maybe I just like tomboys, I don't know. Kaiba is kind of a meh villain. Like, really think about it for a second. He traps people in his game, announces that they're stuck, and then at some point just decides to start role-playing as Heathcliff.
趣味がいいとは言えないぜ。最強のプレイヤーがいて、最悪のラスボスか。
なかなかいいシナリオだろう。
Dude, I'm watching the stream. Why you try not to laugh, bro? That's disrespectful.
Speaking of, Heathcliff is also kind of meh too. They do a good job portraying him as like some overpowered player who's just a god.
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! Fight back!
Which technically he is because he's a damn cheater. That motherfucker. Sachi's an interesting case. She only really appears in one episode outside of flashbacks, but she's a really important, pivotal character for Kirito, and her struggles and fears over death felt real.
私、死ぬの怖い。
死ぬのが怖い。
怖くて、この頃あまり眠れないの。
Not to get too much into it, but on rewatch, I strangely related to her. Whether that's concerning on my mental health is up to you.
Let me guess. He died?
Her eventual death is a really good moment. Kirito feels at fault, and technically it is his fault she and their other party members died because he hid info from them.
そうだ。俺の思い上がりが 君たちを殺した。俺が自分のレベルを隠してさえいなければ。
ありがとう。さよなら。
Come on, man, it's Sword Art Online. How could I not talk about the music? For people who watch this like I did, this soundtrack is just nostalgia incarnate. Nostalgia aside, it does a pretty good job at setting a scene or giving you an emotion. Like, listen to some of these and try to imagine what kind of scene could be happening. This anime genuinely has some of my favorite anime soundtracks. If you get nothing else from this video, please just go give the soundtrack a listen.
Let me break it down for you, Mark.
Sword Art Online started off as a light novel, then a manga, and eventually into the anime we know and have mixed feelings about. And I thought it'd be interesting to see if the manga is different to the anime in major ways. How am I going to do that, you ask?
Y'all thought I was messing around, huh?
Sure, I could have just gone online and read it, but where's the fun in that? So, let's get this shit on. The first noticeable difference is that it actually starts at the Gleam Eyes fight, which in the anime happened in episode 9. However, this is only a little glimpse into the future as it soon cuts to 2 years ago, where Klein and Kirito are training. The manga gets to the point much quicker than episode 1. We're given a quick explanation of the world and how the nerve gear works, and then thrown into the reveal that, ayo, we're stuck in the game. Something else that's interesting is that we're shown a player that resembles Heathcliff while Kayaba is giving a speech. It might not be him, but it definitely looks like him. And after this is a massive change. It immediately skips to 2 years later.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Yeah, we go all the way from episode 1 to episode 8. No Lisbeth, no Silica, no Sachi. All of that just skipped over. Okay, so I did a bit more research, and I kind of thought that like Lisbeth and Silica were like anime exclusive. They're actually in the light novel, but the manga just skipped it for some reason. Okay, let's get back.
Excuse me, what the actual...
Eventually, we get to the events of episode 3 with the moonlit black cats. It's only for a bit, but instead of Kirito just explaining it to Asuna, it's more of a flashback. So yeah, the manga is pretty different, at least in Aincrad. No Lisbeth, no Silica, no first floor boss scene with Kirito and Asuna, the whole murder plot thing isn't there, which actually I kind of appreciate because that was kind of mid. Okay, I guess there's no point putting it off. Let's talk about the shit stuff.
Oh, yeah!
So, my main issues with the anime specifically are the episode lengths and how time is paced. Because there's a lot of wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. Like, for example, the whole of Aincrad takes place over 2 years. We start episode 1, and then episode 2 skips a month. Okay. Episode 3 is another 4 months, and then it goes pretty normal, reaching around the 2-year mark in episode 8. And then the last 6 episodes take place over around a month. While it doesn't necessarily feel rushed, it seems like most people agree more episodes should have been spent in Aincrad instead of just the 14 we got, and then they moved on to Alfheim. I do also wish some characters got more screen time or stuff to do, but I guess since most of the events or characters weren't in the manga until the Fairy Dance arc, they probably just adapted what they could from the light novel, so what are you gonna do? The last thing I think is pretty weird is the strange amount of fan service in it, especially with Silica in her episode.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey!
Now, obviously, fan service isn't something new in anime. Thousands of anime has it, but it feels kind of out of place in Sword Art Online. I wouldn't really call it like a fan service-y anime. At least at the start. And that's about everything I've got to say. Is it a masterpiece? No. Honestly, I wouldn't even put it in my top 10. But I definitely enjoyed it more on rewatch than I thought I would. I think it's worth a watch for most anime fans. And if you're a newbie anime fan like I was, I'd consider this one as one of the starter anime to watch. Sword Art Online definitely isn't the most favorable anime, it's pretty infamous, but I think it has something to offer you if you give it a chance. Now of course I'm based, it was my first anime I ever watched after all, I grew up on this shit. And while I may have fallen out of the anime recently, I still have yet to watch Alicization. This world, the series, the characters, and the many, many 10 trillion games that have come out over the years, I can't help but love them all. And yeah, that's Sword Art Online. And yeah, that's my first anime. Thanks for watching, I guess. Hey, so I just want to say that I was sick the day before I wrote and recorded this, so sorry if I sound a little off at some points. Anyway, enjoy the video. I have returned once again to talk about everyone's favorite anime, Sword Art Online. Now, I won't lie, I didn't plan to do 2 SAO videos back to back, but y'all spoke your mind, and I am nothing if not a man of peace. I ain't gonna waste your time, so I'm gonna start off by saying this. I liked this arc.
Man, this is some bullshit! Boo this man!
Yes, it gets a lot of hate. Yes, it's a big jump from the first half. And it has... whatever the fuck this is. But I don't care, because I liked it! Hell, I loved it! Naturally, I got some problems with it, and I will be bringing them up. I don't think I've got as much to say about the Fairy Dance arc compared to the Aincrad arc, but let's get it started.
Game?
Compared to Aincrad, Fairy Dances is a lot more streamlined. I don't think I'll need a whole speedrunning section to explain it, but I'll see if I can make it understandable. So, it's been 2 months after SAO, and Asuna, for some reason, is still sleeping. While visiting Asuna, her father and some random businessman named Sugo visit at the same time.
Yo, what's up?
So anyway, they talk and Papa leaves. And once he leaves, Sugo gets... freaky. So yeah, that happens. Kyoto runs home and starts crying because he got cucked, and Suguha, his sister, gives him an Undertale speech. So after being filled with determination from Undertale, Kyoto gets a DM from a girl saying that someone found a picture in a game of someone that looks like Asuna. Huh? So naturally, Kyoto's like, oh shit, that's my e-girl. So he goes to the guild to find out what the heck is going on. So he finds out that Asuna is stuck in a new VR game called Alfheim Online. Specifically stuck inside a bird cage atop a world tree. And it's been created by Rekt Progress, a company that Sugo works for. But I'm sure it's just a coincidence. I mean, what the fuck? He didn't seem like that bad of a guy. Anyway, so Kirito revived Yui, and a player named Lifa, who just so happens to be Suguha, set off for the World Tree. What they do isn't relevant until later in the story, so let's check in on Asuna. So it's revealed that Sugo was able to hack into the SAO server via router and reroute the minds of 300 SAO players, including Asuna, to Alfheim Online. He then utilized these players as test subjects for research on controlling people's emotions and memories, which he planned on selling to some American company and making Asuna comply with marrying him. Back with Kirito, he and Lifa are in the middle of a political meeting between the Sylphs, the Katsi, and the Salamanders. Did I miss a page? What the fuck? Yuji and Kirito fight that the Salamanders don't ruin the peace treaty between the two races. Kirito enters protective mode and slices the shit out of him. So Kirito earns the trust and respect of the two race leaders, who say they'll help him out to raid the World Tree. But it might take them a day or two to get ready. So the three make their way to Alne, Alfheim's capital city, and Yui realizes that Asuna is just above them.
We Saiyans have no...
He realizes that just bashing through the sky limit won't work, so he fights the tree's guardians all by himself. And this motherfucker thinks he's him, man. So Leaf revives him, finds out he's Kazuto, and quickly skedaddles. They have a bit of a verbal fight, a bit of a literal fight, and Sugua comes to her senses, and decides to properly help Kirito clear the world tree, with the help of the one true goat, Rekon. They struggle for a bit, but eventually Catgirl and Sylph Mommy arrive for backup. He gets to the top and with the help of Yui finds Asuna, except surprise! Sugo put them in a gravity trap and he I don't want to really show it, but he kind of r***s her. Like, bruh. Kirito gives up. Broboy Kayaba tells him that dying is cringe, giving him a Zenkai and admin privileges.
System Commando! Object ID! Excalibur を Generate! コマンド一つで伝説の武器を召喚か。
Yes!
So he beats Sugo and Alfheim and frees Asuna, but after trying to go see her, he tries stopping Kirito one last time. But Kirito beats the shit out of him! But reluctantly lets him live, and he finally meets Asuna in real life.
Asuna?
So it's revealed that after Kaiba told him to get up, he gave him his seed that could create VR worlds, which Kirito then made public so that anyone could make their own worlds. Alfheim goes back up, and someone put Aincrad back into Alfheim, and Kirito promises to clear the whole thing, all 100 floors properly.
Yes, Ika!
Now, while I think Aincrad has a more interesting story, I do like this one as well. Sure, it's a simple point A to point B goal, but that doesn't mean it's a bad type of story. It also feels a lot more focused than Aincrad. While that arc story was weirdly paced, what with how many episode breaks it took from the story, Fairy Dance is a lot more narratively consistent. Each episode and most scenes are at least doing something to continue the story. Now let's look back at the Aincrad video and look at the problems I had. My main issues with the anime specifically are the episode lengths and how time is paced. So, does Alfheim fix these issues? In my opinion, yes. I also don't mind how the characters are used. Obviously the main character is the focal point, but the side characters we meet don't really feel overused or underused. I think what does it is that they weren't meant to be main or important characters. Did they do anything about the strange fan service I mentioned?
Yes.
Because there's so much more now.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must.
I mean, at least it's consistent. Characters, here we go. Fuck me. Surprisingly, I preferred Kirito's character much more this time around.
Nice fighter!
疲れた？
いや、まだまだ。
お、頑張るわね。
While I mentioned last time he felt kind of basic and plain, they definitely gave him more personality this time around.
さて、物は相談なんだが君、これ今の戦闘でゲットしたアイテムとユルドなんだけど、質問に答えてくれたら君にあげちゃおうかななんて。マジ？マジマジ。
He's pulling his card out!
At the start of this arc, Kazuto was acting kind of cocky, assuming that just because he can't die for real, this will be a breeze. Despite that, it's clear that SEO did affect his morality and mentality. seeing all of this and Alfheim as more than just a game.
嫌だ。俺が生きている間はパーティーメンバーを殺させやしない。それだけは絶対嫌だ。
I do kind of wish they put a little more emphasis on the trauma he has from Sword Art Online, since it's only really shown or mentioned like twice. I feel like it could have made for some good development or scenes. To be honest, Suga felt more like a main character than Kirito in some instances. I doubt she actually has more screen time than him, but it definitely feels like it. Now, if we're gonna talk about Suga, we gotta talk about the elephant in the room. So let me hit you with the game theory. I don't think Suga was actually in love with Kirito. Could she have had a crush on him? Sure. But I highly doubt she was seriously, romantically in love with him. Let me try and explain why. So when they were kids, they were really close. But when Kazuto found out they were actually cousins, he began to ghost her without explaining to Suguha why. Now the reason I'm mentioning this is that when they were young, both Kazuto and Suguha did kendo under their grandfather. But after he quit doing it, the grandfather got mad, so Suguha put in enough work for the both of them. Her whole childhood essentially being school and practicing kendo, not really giving her much of a social life. And with Kazuto being presumably the only one around her age she knew, and for him to suddenly ghost her, it'd make most people emotionally confused. So when Kazuto wakes up after 2 years being stuck in a game, and suddenly acts all buddy-buddy as if he never ghosted her, and suddenly has a virtual e-girl wife who she might love more than Suguha, it'd be a bit much to take in all at once. Now, in case it's not obvious, I'm not a girl in high school, nor can I even talk to women, so I don't exactly have a PhD in how girls would act or feel, but if something like that happened to me, I would be really emotionally confused, so cut her a little slack, you know? Sure is kind of incesty vibes, but like, it's not like she even tries to make a move on him or anything. Actually, she's a really good and loving sister towards him. She knows those feelings are wrong and actively tries to get rid of them. When she meets Kirito and he reminds her of Kazuto, she essentially tries to use Kirito as a replacement for those feelings towards Kazuto. So when Kirito is revealed to be Kazuto, her emotions just explode on him. So yeah, I'm defending Suguha, and if you disagree with my points, that's valid. This is just my opinion. As far as I know, everybody hates this f***er. Whenever he's on screen, he does some heinous, uncomfortable, P-Diddy shit. And like, yeah, that's the whole point. He's the villain!
Seriously, thank God for virtual reality, huh? Who do you think's going to stop me? Oh, maybe a god, but sadly there's none in this world. Except for yours truly!
さて、君たちの魂を改ざんする前に楽しいパーティーと行こうか!
Even though you're not welcome here anymore, you should come to the wedding. No need to thank me.
Damn! He feels like a substantially better villain than Kaiba, because he's a constant threat.
ひょっとして彼かな? 英雄キリト君.
In SAO, the world itself felt more like a threat than Kaiba was. The closest thing to a single main villain is his avatar Heathcliff. Most of the time we do see Sugo in his ALL. Most of the time we do see Sugo in his Most of the time we do see Sugo in his Alfheim avatar.
It's the Fairy King.
A literal avatar he uses to play God in ALO with his admin commands. And when that is taken away from him, he turns back into the desperate, pathetic coward he is.
Stop fucking crying, bitch! Where? I don't wanna fucking hear it!
This motherfucker is a worm, and I love that I hate him. He's fucking Mahito. Yeah, they just made Asuna a damsel in distress in this arc. I wouldn't really say she acts out of character in this arc or anything, but she doesn't really get to do a whole lot other than try to escape, give Kirito and Yui a key card to help them get out, and, I don't know, get harassed by Sugo or something. I really liked Asuna last arc, so it's kind of disappointing that I don't have much to say about her. Now, I did originally have a little segment for Yui in the Aincrad video, but I cut it because I didn't really have any strong opinions on her since she didn't really do much. But in this arc, she felt like a much more entertaining character. Yui essentially acts as Kyoto as a Navi.
Hey, listen!
She's a much more charismatic and more of an actual character than she was in Aincrad. There are a couple of other side characters that I liked, but I don't really have much to say about them beyond not hating them or something. I thought Alfheim's world was a lot more captivating to me. I might just have a fantasy bias, but I felt like wanting to learn more about how this game world worked. Something I kept noting that, whether intentionally or not, it felt kind of racist.
クズあさりのスプリガン風情がつけやがるな。どうせ領地を追放されたレネゲイドだろうが。
If you're stupid enough to waltz into another race's territory, then it's your own damn fault if you get killed, Spriggan!
I mentioned it in my notes for like 3 separate episodes. I don't know, I just thought it was funny and worth mentioning. I also want to talk about the real world for a second, because they did something I thought was cool. They treat the whole SAO incident like an actual incident. There's a specialized SAO task force that dealt with background stuff. There's an SAO survivor school. Both the SAO and ALO incidents caused a worldwide scare for VR MMOs and their companies, leading to a bunch of them getting shut down. So yeah, I thought the world stuff was pretty good. Now, I mentioned before that this fixed a few issues I had last time, so I can't exactly copy-paste my problems over from there. So instead of talking about specific problems, I want to bring up something I noticed. This arc is freaky. And when I mean freaky, I don't mean unnecessary fan service. I mean weird, unnecessary fan service.
Whoa, 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 hey, 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 hey!
I don't know what Reki Kawahara was on when he cooked this up, but brother was a freak. Obviously, another problem I have is the whole Suga B-plot. I defended her before, but I still think it would have been a lot better if it was just removed or just altered a bit. Maybe lean more towards Sugu feeling neglected, abandoned by Kazuto, having her actually have a grudge on him like Kazuto thought she did.
でも、俺はずっとあいつに引け目を感じてたんだ。他にもやりたいことがあって、俺を恨んでるんじゃないかって。
I don't know, just I think it would have been more favored if it changed. And I think that's everything I got to say. What do you guys think about this arc? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know in the comments. As for me, it's pretty decent. I think I prefer Aincrad because it has a more interesting premise, while being stuck in a death game, but I do wish more people gave this arc a chance. So I'd give it like a 6 out of 10. Sounds about right. Hold on, what's this? I don't remember this scene. Hold on, seriously, what the fuck is this? Hold on. Is that Lisbeth and Silica? 10 out of 10, good night. Yes sir, I am back once again with Sword Art Online. I had some fun with the BNA video, and I guess you guys enjoyed it too, maybe. So, what do I mean when I say the Phantom Bullet arc is fantastic? Well, it would be my honor to explain. Before we get into the story and all the other stuff, I'm gonna take a page out of my BNA video and take a little peek behind the curtain. Now, one thing I noticed is that the style and animation looked different, and in some cases, better, especially the animation. It's not just me, right? I do not remember Kirito moving like this, because man, they went kinda crazy. So, like Season 1, the main studio was A1 Pictures, and directed by Tomohiko Ito. On the animation side, I'll admit it was a little harder to find the main animators than it was for BNA, but from what I could find, we have Shingo Adachi and Yu Yamashita as chief animation directors, Kengo Matsumoto as main animator, with Tetsuya Takeuchi and Ryuta Yanagi as key animators, and joining Adachi as action animation directors. I just said a lot of names, so let me break it down for a bit. Takeuchi was a key animator for Yuji vs. Chozo, JoJo's second opening, a whole bunch of other stuff, and back on SAO, did a bunch of stuff for Alicization. On the main animation side, Matsumoto, although only being a main animator for Sword Art Online, has done a bunch of key animations. Naruto, Drawing the Franxx, and most surprisingly for me, Blind S. For Yanagi, he was the action director for the second season of 7 Deadly Sins, and the storyboard for episode 19. Yanagi was also a key animator on the first Bleach movie, a surprising amount of Pokemon stuff, and was even a key animator for an episode of Solo Leveling. Anyway, I think I've listed the animation enough. There are a whole bunch of talented people working on this, but I don't have the time. So recently, we've had a death game set in a medieval-esque world, and brainwashing in a fairy world. What could the madman Reki Kawahara think of next?
For his neutral special, he wields a gun.
Yeah, okay. Now, I actually think this world is pretty cool. Aesthetically, I'd still say my favorite location is Alfheim, especially what we see in this season, because man, the colors just pop this time. Now, strictly on the story, I really like how they did it. To sum it up, this guy somehow has a gun that apparently has the power to kill people in real life just by shooting them. So as expected, the government hired a teenager to go into a game where he can die, after he'd already survived a game where he could die. Okay, do we need to talk about this government? While in the game, he runs into Sinon.
Hi, 初めてなんです。どこか安い武器屋さんと
Would this make me a if I said smash?
総督府っていうところに行きたいんですが。
And together, the two, although reluctantly, work together to solve the case of Death Gun's identity and the truth behind the killings. Unlike Aincrad's plot effectively turning every character into a virtual hostage, and Fairy Dance's whole damsel in distress / mind manipulation plots, Phantom Bullets is a single focused story about solving murder cases, and I really enjoyed it. Obviously, I was rewatching it and knew all its twists, but you know what, Reki can cook if he wants to. Another aspect of this arc that works is that it feels like a direct continuation of Aincrad, more so than Fairy Dance in my opinion. While yes, Sugo's plan was tied to the SAO incident with him taking some of the survivors and trapping them, the remnants of SAO are definitely present throughout the arc, especially to Kirito, but more on him later. Anyway, let's talk about... Now, let's talk about the villain himself and why he works.
Can you cut that out?
I mean, technically there's two villains, and Shinkawa was a creepy-ass r/nice guy, but I'm gonna do us a favor and stick with Death Gun for now. Out of these three, Death Gun has gotta be my favorite antagonist, and that's because he feels directly tied to Kirito while carrying aspects of what came before. For those unfamiliar, Death Gun, aka Red Eye Zaza, aka Sturban, this boy got a lot of names.
It's Goku! But Broly? Call me!
Is an SAO survivor and was a member of Laughing Coffin, which, in SAO, was a group of player killers. And that's one of the reasons why I feel like Death Gun is effective as an antagonist. Don't get me wrong, I love complex villains with their own motives and reasons, but to me, the last two antagonists, Kaiba and Sugo's roles as antagonists, felt similar. While yes, they had vastly different motives, they both basically boiled down to having a group of people trapped in a game. But Death Gun? He's just a killer. He does it for the thrill. While yes, Shinkawa had his own goals, but Death Gun felt more like an unstoppable force, questionable if he was even human or not. With Aincrad, we knew how the players could die. The nerve gear would basically fry your brain if your HP'd off to 0. But Death Gun was a mystery. They made it clear that the players' deaths had nothing to do with Amusphere.
この二人の心不全ってのは確かなんだろうな。というと？脳には損傷はなかったのか？
僕もそれが気になってね。司法解剖を担当した医師に問い合わせたが、脳に異常は見つからなかったそうだ。
They made it clear that the players' deaths had nothing to do with the Amusphere, the device Gun Gale is played on, so it left you genuinely wondering how the hell is Death Gun killing people? At first, Kirito outright denies this being possible, and by all accounts, it should be impossible, and technically it is, but from what we see, if Death Gun kills you with his Death Gun, you're dead. And that mystery genuinely creates some chilling moments. When he appears, it just creates a sense of, oh shit, is someone gonna die? Also, I love his design. Yeah, it does seem kinda edgy sometimes, but it's clear that they knew what they were doing. In this arc, Death Gun is essentially the Grim Reaper. I don't know, the fucking Undertaker. Anyway, on the other side of the coin, we have Shinkawa. They establish fairly on from clues that he's not what he seems. He clearly has feelings for Asada and has knowledge or access to medicine, hence the poison they use to kill the players. Admittedly, him as a villain is kinda meh, especially compared to Death Gun, but they did a good job making him feel off. It's not a massive surprise when it's revealed he's been up to something, but the main reveal of him being one of the hands of Death Gun, while good, I always thought was kind of obvious in some ways. Like, bruh, look at the opening. On the topic of characters, Now, not to sound like a psychopath, but I'm really happy that they gave Kirito trauma in this arc. I mentioned it in the fairy dance that I do kind of wish they put a little more emphasis on the trauma he has from Sword Art Online, so it's only really shown or mentioned like twice. And thankfully, Father Reki delivered. So, both Kazuto and Asada have similar trauma. Both of them had to take a life in order to save either themselves or others. Kazuto decided to just try pushing these actions into the back of his mind, even forgetting the names and faces of the Laughing Coffin members he killed in Aincrad, while Asada's trauma continued to fester, her classmates bullying her, which is fucked up, and her PTSD got so strong that even looking at an image or a video of a gun, or someone even making a gun gesture, is enough to send her into a panic attack. Now, I've never had a panic attack or trauma, so I can't exactly speak from experience, but I've known someone who used to have panic attacks, and from what I've heard, it seems to be a positive representation, and I agree. Representation aside also works well with the story, with Death Gun essentially appearing to Kirito as a manifestation of his mental trauma. Most people call Kirito a one-note overpowered protagonist, and while yes, some of this is true, it also gives his and Sinon's scenes a more human feel to them. Speaking of, I think Sinon/Asada was my favourite character in this arc. Not only is it satisfying to watch her try and grow throughout the arc, but her rapport with Kirito might be my favourite so far out of his past companions. God, I'm treating this like Pokemon or something. Kirito and Sinon complement each other quite well. On one hand, they can be polar opposites. On the other, they're quite similar. Watching their friendship/rivalry grow and them trying to move on from their similar trauma is heartwarming. I also appreciate how they ended Sinon's arc. By the end of the arc, Kazuto is mostly moved on, but Asada doesn't immediately snap out of it. In the last episode, it's clear she's already made great improvement, but she's still on the verge of throwing up even after just holding a gun. All this ending with Asada learning that she equally has the right to think about the lives she saved that day, and the bank worker arriving with her daughter, absolute cinema. So, to be honest, I didn't really write down any massive problems I had, and I didn't really want to end it on the trauma section, so I'm gonna just tell y'all some stuff I noticed while watching. You can just skip this if you want, it isn't really necessary. Thanks for watching the video. So they definitely did something different this season. I'm not sure if it's just the coloring or different style, but I think it's pretty good. In episode 2, we see Silica, Lisbeth, and Lifa. I think this is either in reference or a direct adaptation of Girls Op, a manga special that introduced Lisbeth and Silica. Speaking of Silica, she's not only fighting the monster that she and Kirito fought in their episode, but she does the same move Kirito uses on Ilfang back in Aincrad. I mentioned in the Aincrad video that Kirito and Silica's big brother little sister dynamic was charming, so it's kinda cool showing her trying to copy Kirito's moves. I don't really have anything else to say. The bloopers are funny, go watch them.
These are my friends from my time in SAO. That's Liz, one of the many girls who wants to bang me.
Bye.